Okay. So let's see if this works. Try to record this. Okay. So any questions on economic rent? So I just went over the cost of free, the cheesecake article. I went over price gouging and some other things, right? So I'm just going to quickly breeze over the last couple items. Just to review. So we've got economic profit and we've got accounting profit, right? So the accounting profit is total revenue minus total costs. But accounting profit total costs are explicit costs, right? So that is money for goods, labor, rent, things like that. And we have an economic profit, which is total revenue minus, and then total cost for economic profit is explicit costs. So of course you're going to count rent, but what if you don't pay rent? What if you own the building? You're going to count property taxes, things like that, right? So explicit costs, labor costs, plus you have to also count, right? These are called implicit. So an implicit cost is an opportunity cost. Yes,
I was just wondering what PI stands for.
Oh, sorry, profit. So this is profit. They usually use pi in economics to denote profit. Okay. And so again, I was talking about like the landowner who uses his own building to run his business, and in economic terms, he's going to have a higher profit than he would in accounting terms, right? Because he pays rent, and he'll probably pay upkeep and things like that on the building, but of course that's going to be less than he would pay if he were to have to pay rent, right? I mean, if you own a building, the whole idea is to rent the building out from at least, and of course the goal would be as much as possible more than it costs you to keep the building up, right? You don't want to rent a building out for less than it costs. So we had a neighbor and in our old place, and the people had lived in their townhome for 12 to 15 years, and they were paying like $1,200 a month, right, in rent. And I was like, what? That's you've got to be losing money on that, because their HOA was $500 or $600 a month, right? And then property tax is another $600 a month. So at best, you're breaking even. And then when they move out, the place was a disgusting mess, right? They came in, they had to just tear everything out and completely remodel the whole thing. So basically, all they were doing was hopefully trying to break even. The problem there was that they kind of knew the people, and they're like, oh, they're an elderly couple. I guess he fell and no longer could do the stairs, and so they had to move out. I was like, man, that's you find a way to live, because you're not going to pay $1,200 for any place in Bellevue, right? A townhome, a 2 or 3 bedroom townhome for $1,200 a month is an absolute steal. The one next to it was going for $24, by the way, right? So a little nicer, but still. So that's the explicit cost would have been the HOA fee, the rent, the water, anything that you had to pay, and then the implicit cost would have been the opportunity cost, which is the other $1,200 that they could have gotten from a different tenant, right? And so while on the accounting side, they may have been breaking even, in the economic side, they were losing $1,200 a month, right, of economic loss. And so this is also, you can lose money on both, right? You can have a business where you're losing accounting money, right? Which is kind of why they have TV shows like Restaurant Impossible and things like that, where what's his Hellendack in 24 Hours, right? Gordon Ramsay has all these TV shows, Hotel Hell, Restaurant Hell, Hellendack. What else do you have? 20 different shows, right? So he's a media mogul in the restaurant turnaround business. Very popular shows, Bar Rescue, all these other things. So there's a lot of these businesses are losing money because, well, they're poorly run. I talked about the problem with bracketing, or the way that people make decisions. If you have a lot of options, people tend to get confused, like, oh, do I want that? Do I want that? That's an issue with a lot of these restaurants, is their menus are too long, right? Shorten that menu, you cut down on food costs, because you had less food to buy, less ingredients, and you also get people to make their orders quicker, turn them around, right? So they can lose accounting, and economic loss is always going to be greater than accounting loss. It's also might be greater than economic profit is pretty much always going to be greater or less than accounting profit, right? Okay. Any questions on that? Implicit, explicit costs. Kind of the idea. You guys got the idea there, I think, right? All right. So another thing I kind of mentioned, cost of capital, right? Opportunity cost of capital. So this could be actually, I mean, when you think of capital in more general settings, when we say capital, we're thinking of what? I need capital for my business. Beat you to it. Money. We're probably thinking in terms of money, right? In economics, of course, capital, when we think of labor and capital, so output is a function of labor and capital, and they actually have these like growth models and all kinds of things. And in general, capital is when we're talking about growth and things like that, it's more like machinery, stuff like that. But yeah, capital could be money as well, right? And so there's always an opportunity cost. What's the opportunity cost of capital? If I'm taking money and I'm sinking it into my business, what would an opportunity cost for that capital be? What do you think, Jillian? You probably know. Jack?
Good question, though.
What could you do with your money if you didn't stick it into your business?
Spend it for personal gain.
You can spend it. That's always an option, right?
You could invest it into other things.
You can invest it. Yeah, right? Caleb, you're going to say invest. Yeah, you can invest it, right? So the opportunity cost of capital would be the interest. That you're, quote unquote, lost, right? It's called a normal rate of return. So we have something called a normal rate of return. You ever heard of an ROI?
Return on investment.
Return on investment, yeah. So that's the return you get from your investment, right? The normal rate of return could be maybe 5%. So normal rate of return is the amount that must be paid to an investor to induce investment in a business, right? It's basically equal to the opportunity cost of capital. So a normal rate of return is, it has to be equal to your opportunity cost. So if it's not equal to your opportunity cost, I should say greater than or equal to, right? So a normal rate of return is something that induces you to invest in that product that would give you that economic rent, right? So a normal rate of return should be your opportunity cost plus some level of economic rent, right? Because if you don't get your rate of return, there's always risk, right? There's always a risk involved in investing in a company. Who else bought MySpace? Like massive investments in MySpace? No.
You did, right?
No. Tom. Tom's still asking for money, right? Remember Tom? He's the guy that greets you. Hey, I'm Tom. Something like that. So, normal rate of investment is greater than or equal to the opportunity cost, or it is the opportunity cost of capital. I should say normal rate is the opportunity cost of capital, right? And so you would just want to get a return greater than or equal to that. And that's, again, that's what induces people to actually invest in a company. Right? Is at least the idea of getting a rate of return greater than buying a U.S. Treasury? Because you think of a safe investment. So if I got a lot of money, what do I do with my money? I'd probably diversify, but I want to keep some of it safe. Obviously, the older you are, the safer you want to have your money, right? What's the safest possible investment there is? Gold, maybe. I mean, gold is going to be there no matter what, right? But the rate of return on gold, it doesn't pay you a dividend.
So, bond?
So, I mean, I do recommend, personally, I think, gold is a good investment. Gold and silver is an important investment. You know, if times get really bad, then, right, there have been times. Gold has been around forever, long before the United States. And they were around at the time of swords, right, before the bow and arrow, before the sword, maybe. Right. Sticks, yeah.
Do you think there's ever a time where, the spot price, precious metals will go down significantly? Or
It
it's
has.
steady and only basically increase over the long term?
Well, there have been spikes, and it's come down. Like in I think it was 1980, it hit 805 or something, and it came all the way down to 250. And so it was only there for 3 days, and then it crashed. There's a whole thing that went on there. That they have these two, I forget the name. The claims they were trying to corner the market on silver, and they drove silver and gold up, right, up to 15 ounce. Right now, silver is like 10, 15. So, and just a few years ago, gold was up to 2,000, just shy of 2,000.
Yeah, it was like 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
2011 was, what happened in 2011? You had the crash in 2008. You had, I think that's right around the time, what's 2011? We had high oil prices probably. All right, so there are periods of time when it can get ugly and gold will start to rise. And so over the long run, in an actual market, like I think most people think gold is manipulated, but it does tend to hold its value anyways over time.
Like a reverse Bitcoin.
The what?
Like a reverse Bitcoin.
Yeah, although gold kind of did the Bitcoin thing where it shot up and then came back down and then held.
Not that much.
But the thing with gold is if you have gold inside your lockbox, right, your wallet, and your wallet burns up, you just kind of dig through your wallet and you pull pieces of gold out. Maybe they're melted in something, right? They still have value. If your computer gets fried by a magnet or an EMP, then you dig through your computer, you're not going to find it, right? You're not going to find your Bitcoin. Same thing with cash, right? There are people where their dog is eaten. So a guy, there was one thing, he left 500 cash in his car and he comes back and there's a few pieces little and his dog ate it. Right? And so what do? You keep your dog inside and you dig through his poop and you pull the little pieces of $100 bills out and you
back together.
You do, and you mail it to the Federal Reserve and they'll issue you some value as much as they can piece together, right?
Oh, hold on, did he actually do it?
They will do that, yeah.
Yeah, but did the guy actually do it?
Yes.
What?
So, well, hey, what did I say? What were you guys willing to do for a $5 cheesecake?
Like nothing. I was order off DoorDash, but that's it.
Would you dig through your dog's poop
No.
for 3 days to get $400 in cash? Or to get the possibility of up to $500 return, right? So, some people will do that, right? You pull gloves out, it's not digestible, so they're going to come out in chunks that you ate them in. Hopefully larger chunks, but you never know, right? So that has happened. Many times that happens. A fire safe burn some of the cash, they're able to mail it into the Fed or take it down to the bank and get some tips. I mean, take your little bag of doggy poop, $100 bills, down to your local teller and say, I'd like to exchange this.
Don't give me money, just get out of there.
Yeah.
Just get out.
Yeah, just take the money, get out, please. Take your bag with you. But yeah, so there is a division of the Federal Reserve that will handle that for you. Right. So you can do that. Well, think of that as a return on investment, right? So investing in gloves and things like that. So, what did I get in that? I was going to say, let's tangent off into that. But, anyways, return on capital. So go gold, yeah. So, you know, if he ate your gold, then you could dig through his poop. Pretty easy there, right? You just pull the coins out, they're whole. They'd be whole. In fact, they'd be cleaner. Like, if kids eat pennies, they come out very clean. It gets digested by the stomach acid, all the stuff's taken off. It's a nice shiny penny. Right? Now that, I would say, no, that's not worth digging through human fecal matter to find a penny, okay? But a gold dime, yes. Like, we're talking $100 and some, right? So I would probably do that if I knew it was there. Okay. So, step one, don't get a dog. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
And just get cats. Cats don't bother your money. Cats are good. They leave you alone.
Normal dogs don't bother
Have you seen
your
like
money either.
you know Sony made like a robot dog?
Yeah.
It's like all the things you like your dog, like how it just kind of rolls around, but without like the stuff you think about your dog.
It does flips and yeah.
I think that's kind of the future.
The robot dog has soft fur.
And they do all kinds of things.
Not yet.
They have robot other things as well. Right? Other companion devices. They have all kinds of things with robots. Right? Unmentionables. So I do think that someday gold will take off. Like if you look at the value of gold, what it could buy in 1930. So one comparison is in 1930, a $20 gold piece could buy a fine man's suit, belt, shoes, everything. In today, a $20 gold piece will buy a very nice suit, right? 1920, a $20 bill would buy a very fine man's suit, right? Belt and everything, because you could pay $20 Federal Reserve note for a $20 gold piece. Today, $20 will. You go to a discount store and get a decent belt. Right? That's about it. So it's lost its value. Gold has actually surpassed the cost of living by about double. And relative to buying stock, like if you bought, you can think of a lot of the stocks that were in the 1930 Dow Jones. Like nobody's ever heard of most of them, right? Dow Jones, 30 best stocks there are. It does a weird equal weighting system, and it only takes the best ones. So if you're doing poorly, they take you out. Dow Jones always goes up. On average, it goes up pretty substantially.
Yeah, GE got kicked out.
Yeah, because they're underperforming, right? And who's in there now? I think Exxon's in there, Chevron's in there,
And Apple.
Apple's in there. A lot of just the biggest companies in the U.S. Amazon's probably in there. Alphabet, I guess, is probably in there. I don't know, but yeah. So I think it's a good investment in the long run, right? Especially if you're younger and you're looking at, you don't need a return. You don't need cash today, right? You don't need a dividend. If you're older, if you're looking at retirement, then you're going to. I would suggest you probably want a dividend, right? Something that pays you an annual rate of return, right? And you get the stock. So you get the stock that tends to go up over time, and it could give you a 3 to 5% return. I think Microsoft pays a decent dividend. McDonald's famously has never lost money. I think it was one quarter in its history it's lost money, right? And it pays a dividend. And nobody ever wants to get rid of it. So that's what I was saying. From what I understand, it's harder to actually buy
You want to do
microcrust.
like a large order, like
Yeah, I guess you were saying you could buy a small
yeah, like
number of shares. But
if like under $100,000 worth.
yeah, I'm thinking that somebody somewhere has to be selling McDonald's stock, right? There isn't. Everybody has their price, right? So if it's valued at 50, somebody's going to sell it as it goes up. So. Excuse me. So, anyways, so we just talked about opportunity cost, accounting, and economic profit. I mentioned, you remember the treasure of the Sierra Madre, and in the end of the movie, he's like, well, you think about it, I'm really only out a couple bucks, cost of equipment. And then he's like, what? You spent 6 months with homicidal maniacs in the Mexican desert, right? Not only are you out the cost of capital, you're also out 6 months of your life. Right? 6 months you could have been doing something, earning money, something, right? So while the accounting loss is minimal, the actual realistic economic profit is quite substantially large, right? The economic loss to the 6 months of his time of nearly being killed by not only his partner, but I think there were some enemies in there as well. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, if that hasn't interested you enough yet, think about it. So, okay,